Hello everyone, Daniel Yuck here. Thank you all for tuning in today. I appreciate it. I've been asked several times to go over my setup and show you all what I use and what it's for, and kind of like the different elements that I use to go ahead and achieve my tattoos. So I want to go ahead and take some time and show you all right here everything that's going on. This is pretty much in a nutshell everything that I use to accomplish my tattoos, and I'm going to go ahead and kind of explain the elements here, and I'm going to tell you all what I use them for and why. So without further ado, let's just dive straight on into this. Okay, so I guess we'll go ahead and begin on this side, and I'm just going to work my way down this way here. Now, as you can see, there is a variety of things here. I don't want to confuse you, so I want to just try and keep it as simple as possible here. Now, starting from this way over here, we have these right here. Now, these are used to wipe machines, furniture, etc. We have some Super Sandy cloths right here, and then we also have some Opticide Max wipes. And again, these are used to wipe down machines, furniture, and these sort of applications. I do have a jug of Cavicide, in which I talked about in another video, as well as a gallon of green soap. So I have a gallon of Cavicide and green soap. If you're more interested in that, we can go ahead and talk more about that in other videos. But for this one, I kind of just want to keep it straight to the point here. So again, these are, just to reiterate, used to wipe down everything from furniture to your machines. I prefer to use machines, the Opticide for machines and delicate furniture like the chairs and stuff, and this right here is more for, I mean, you can do the same thing. You can use this for furniture and pretty much whatever you choose, to each their own. But me personally, I like the Opticide. So that is what I use, and to disinfect, sterilize stuff, you know, get my station nice and sterile again. Now for inks, I do use right here, as you can see, I have a couple of inks, and the inks that I am using here are Intense. For my primary black, I'm using now, as you see, Intense Formula 23. This ink has done well for me. I'm a big fan of this ink. I love this ink right here. I highly recommend that you check this out. I will go ahead and leave links to everything here in the description below, so you can go ahead and check it out on your end. But this is the ink that I use. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. We use the ink to actually create the tattoo on the skin. This is going to be black right here. I also have a full in-depth review on this coming out, so be sure to hit that subscribe button and ring that bell so you can go ahead and check that out. On this side right here, as you see, I have 4 little bottles of Intense as well, and I have Bob Tyrell, the white set. Let me go ahead and show you up close here. So I have the Bob Tyrell set, it's a high white. I have silver. I like to use silver a lot for shading now. I'm getting more into that. I will make a video on that, explaining that more for you all. Now, I do have the Grandpa Gray right here, as you can see, Power Gray set. And I do use titanium silver. So I would use any one of these 3s right here for shading. I'm trying to find some balance with these, so I will go ahead and elaborate more on these, but I also use these a lot. I just haven't mentioned them often because I'm still trying to develop and, you know, work with them. But I also use these inks right here as well. Now this is also ink related. As you can see, I have the Dynamic Gray Wash set right here. Now I recently got this into my hands. As you can see, it is a 20, 40, 60, and 80 gray wash set right here. I wanted to get a gray wash set so that way I don't have to make my own gray washes, as I want to have consistency throughout every tattoo that I do. So that's the reason why I went ahead and I'm going to start going with a pre-made gray washes over making my own gray wash. I just want to have a bit more consistency within my tattoos, and that's why I went ahead and I chose to go with Dynamic for my first gray wash set here. I will be making an in-depth review on this as well, but this is also what I keep on hand as well in my tattoo setup. Or this is also what I'm going to start keeping in my tattoo setup as well. I'm going to go ahead and be using these for shading, obviously. And right here, this is a little pouch right here, as you can see. And within this pouch, I have some alcohol wipes, some more alcohol pads right here. We have wooden sticks right here. And over here, we have some A&D ointment and some Aquaphor, which I've actually never used. I got this for like personal use and practice, but I ended up just sticking with Vaseline. I always just keep these around in case like my client doesn't have anything on them and can't access this for whatever reason. I'll go ahead and put some in like a small plastic sterile container so that way they can take to apply to their tattoo. That's just my thought process. I guess that's why I kind of keep it around. But yeah, that's that right there. And I use the wooden sticks to get the inkies right here, which we'll also go over right now. And this is what I use to transfer the lubricant for the skin to my station, and I use these to clean the tattoo site. So, or to clean and sterilize the tattoo site. So that's how I approach that, and that's what this is for. This right here on this end, never really used it besides the alcohol pads, again, for sterilizing and cleaning my tattoo site. And as you notice, everything is pretty much covered in plastic. Like the bottles, the inks, everything is in a plastic or covered in plastic, as you can see right here. Like this is the stencil stuff and it's in a plastic. I guess I have OCD. I want everything covered in plastic. Now right here, these right here are my tattoo dedicated wipes. These are wipeouts. I've actually done a review on these as well. So that's what these are right here. These are the wipes that I use on human skin. And right here, I also have some blue wipes that I'll like put down. So I'll put like a layer of Saran Wrap when I'm tattooing, and then I'll put one of these blue cloths down to kind of absorb any green soap or liquids that I kind of put on there. And I use this to wipe the skin, the actual skin. I don't use these to wipe skin just because I'm not comfortable with this blue color. And these are tattoo dedicated, so that's why I use these on broken skin right here. I use these to put over the Saran Wrap on whatever furniture I'm using at the time. So that's what these are for. This is very straightforward right here, and you'll see me do that process in videos. Like if you see the new cross video that I released, there's a blue site which is going to be this in the background, which is on the over the Saran Wrap. So you have the furniture, the Saran Wrap covering the area that we're tattooing in, and then you have this over just to absorb any liquids that may fall down upon cleaning. And then these are to clean the tattoo site. So that's what those are for, and that's how I use those. Right here, this is basically Saran Wrap, and you can kind of get this at Walmart or Sam's. You can get it in bundles as well. This one right here is, I think, 300 yards. So you go through this quickly. This right here, as you can see, it's used a lot. It's even on this black table right here in the background. Everything is covered with Saran Wrap, and this has a few layers so that way nothing leaks through, nothing gets by that barrier that we put over. I personally love this one. This one's a Walmart house brand, and this one works well. This is what the box looks like right here, and this is the Saran Wrap that I use. I've never had any issues. I love the way it's a very clingy wrap, and I love the way that it moves or conducts itself, so that's why I use this one. You can use whatever you choose on your end, but you want to have some sort of barrier to put over, you know, your gear and stuff, and this is what I use. I use the 300 yard Saran Wrap that I just showed you. It's about $3-4. I'm going to look into a better Saran Wrap in more bulk, so we'll go ahead and get there accordingly, but for now that's what I go ahead and use. Right here we have two bottles of, this one's a solution of green soap, and this one's just simple distilled water. This is also what I use during my setups. When I place a stencil down, I like to typically, now I'm going to try a new workflow that I have in mind, where I'm going to hit it with a little bit of water and kind of take off that layer of dark purple, so that way I can see my lines when I pull them, and how basically I want to be able to see I want to lighten the stencil is my goal, so that way I can see my lines and my work a bit easier, because when it's that dark dense purple, it gets a bit difficult to see through the black, so it gets a little bit messy. So that's what this is for right here, or just to kind of wet the station. Typically I also like to, like when I put the Saran Wrap down on the table though, I like to wet the station. You could do it with distilled water, but I like to get a spray bottle, in which is right here as well. This is a spray bottle. I don't use this in the tattoo session at all. This is not in the process. This is just to wet the furniture. So let's say, for example, the table back here, I'll wet the table with, you know, a solution of alcohol and distilled water, and I will wet it, and then I'll simply place the Saran Wrap barrier over it accordingly. So that's how I'll get it to stick. That's how I get the Saran Wrap to stick to the furniture. I forgot to touch base on that as well. And then the same thing with the tattoo furniture. I'll go ahead and spray it down with the solution of alcohol and water, and then I'll put a thick layer of Saran Wrap over it, and it always works out well fine. And then I'll go ahead and I'll use these. So let's say if they're sitting down over Saran Wrap, I'm doing the leg piece, I'll put a layer of this down as well, so that way their skin is not on Saran Wrap and it doesn't build up that sweat. It's just little things like that to think about upon your process. This is just me fine-tuning everything, and I want to be real thorough here and talk about everything. So if I'm confusing you, I genuinely do apologize. This is just kind of a lot to take in and a lot to talk about in once, so I'm doing the best I can to manage to get these points across here for you all. Now, with that being said, this is what I use, just a spray bottle to wet everything down. Just to reiterate, this is a solution of alcohol and distilled water. You can kind of mix your solution however you want. I do that. I put a little bit of alcohol just to kind of keep the sides sterile and everything around it, so that way I know and I ensure that I'm working in a clean environment. That's just my thought process behind it. So that's what this bottle is for right here. And as well as, let's just go ahead and keep working. This right here is a bottle of alcohol, in which if I ever feel like I need to kind of hit my gloves with alcohol for some reason, that's what I have that for. But I've never ever used this in any session. I always just simply, if I have to move outside the tattoo area, I'm going to remove my gloves. I'm going to do whatever I need to do, even if it's something like adjusting my camera. If I need to adjust my camera during a tattoo session, I'm going to take off my gloves, adjust my camera, and then I'm going to put a new pair back on and continue the tattoo. So I've never had to use this, but I always just keep it around in case I do need to hit my hands with a little bit of alcoholic sanitizer here. As you can see, that's basically what this is though, just some extra alcohol. And then right here, as you see, I always keep alcohol here, and I go through this a lot during my sessions because again, I use spray to spray everything down and stuff like that. So this is just 91% alcohol. This is what I also keep on hand right here. And alcohol can be used for multiple purposes. I mean, everyone uses it differently. For me, mostly I use alcohol for like after I wipe my machines down last with alcohol, so I'll sterilize my machines and everything, and then the last step I like to do is just kind of wipe everything down one last time with alcohol. I don't know why I do that, I just do that. And I like to like wipe gear down and kind of just disinfect stuff. I'll just put alcohol on a blue wipe, these Scotch shop wipes right here, and I'll just kind of wipe everything down after I've hit it with the Super Sani cloths or the Opticide Max wipes. So that's that right there. So I'll typically use alcohol, you know, just for disinfectant purposes. And this right here, green soap, I use green soap obviously to make the green soap solution for the tattoo. So when I'm done with the tattoo, I'll rinse it with this green soap solution. That's what that's for. That's pretty straightforward, pretty self-explanatory there. Also, I have right here this ink ease, as you can see, and this is what I use. Some people use Vaseline, other people use A&D. To each their own. I'm not, you know, against anything. I just typically prefer, I've never used Vaseline on a tattoo. I've never used A&D personally on a tattoo. I've always used Green Glide on my tattoos. This is what I use personally. I want to try a different glide from Ink Ease, so I'm gonna go ahead and look into that more. And if you're interested, I can do reviews on everything individually, but this video is just kind of going over what I use and how I go about using these within my tattoo sessions. So as you see, this is what I use to break the skin. This is what I use to keep the skin lubricated, just because it's a tattoo dedicated product. We can go ahead and, you know, look at it real quick. This is just a tattoo dedicated product, and this is why I chose to go ahead and go with this. I needed a lubricant that was a bit more, I guess, friendly in my head. So this is why I chose Ink Ease. I mean, just because it is a tattoo dedicated product. For numbing purposes, or you know, if anyone needs numbing for whatever reason, I do go ahead and I carry Hush on me. It's a Hush numbing gel. I can do an in-depth review on this as well, but this is the numbing gel right here that I use to numb. I also have another one right here that I was using, which is Uber Numb. Both of them work great, but these are the numbing creams and gels that I use to numb the skin prior to a tattoo, should that want to be done. Right here I have Stencil stuff, and I'll go ahead and make a review on that, but you can see this is Stencil stuff right here, and this is what I use. I mean, very straightforward to apply the tattoo stencils to the tattoo site. So that's what I use to go ahead and apply my tattoos. Right here, this is very straightforward as well. Razors to go ahead and clear your site of any hair that may exist there. Very straightforward there. Witch hazel. I carry witch hazel as well for multiple reasons. Typically, I'll put this like in my rinse cup or my dip cups now, and I'll use witch hazel or to moisten the foam pads that are right here in these dip foam cups, or I'll put it in my rinse cups that I have right here as well. And I'll use that to kind of like, when I'm not using, if I'm using multiple needles, I'll have a rinse cup there, so that way I can drop a needle in there, so that way the ink doesn't dry and clog the needle tip, just to avoid any complications. This is what I am using. Sometimes I'll use alcohol as well, and it's just a little, so that way when I do go back into the tattoo, I'll kind of like get a wipe out and put at the tip of the needle, so that way it pulls the alcohol out. Little things like that. Witch hazel, you know, is a good way to go, so that's what I also keep on hand as well. Over here we have the after inked premium liquid solidifier. So when you do use a rinse cup with like witch hazel or water, you could put this in there and it'll solidify that liquid, making it easier to dispose of. So I highly recommend this as well. That's what this is for right here. Over here we have plastic coverings, which are these. So sometimes I'll go ahead and take some out of here, and I'll go ahead and put them into a plastic bag like so, and I'll use these to cover my tattoo. my tattoo machines, forgive me. And these are the plastic barriers that I use to cover my tattoo machines. That's what this is right here. And that's just to create a barrier to keep my gear as safe as possible. These right here, I also keep these on hand. These are arm sleeves, so these keep my arms protected. So if I'm doing a bigger like leg piece or just a larger piece, and I'm gonna be over the tattoo and the tattoo is gonna be in this area, I don't wanna have to float my arm over the tattoo. I wanna be able to still put my arm down. So that's what these are for. I can go ahead and put it around here. I could either tape it if I want on there so it doesn't slide up, and I just do my tattoo and it protects my entire arm. That's what these are for. These are arm sleeves right here. And then right here I have oversized glasses. So if I'm gonna be like doing a real fine detailed tattoo, I'm gonna be real like up close on the tattoo, I'm gonna go ahead and put some of these glasses on just to protect my eyes, to prevent any ink splatter that could potentially arise, avoid going in my eyes. So that's the idea of these right here, just to avoid and protect my eyes, to avoid anything that may or could potentially arise. Just some safety gear there. Right here we have Saniderm. This is also very straightforward. This is what I use to cover the tattoo upon completion. So this is the bandage wrap that I use. I've used several, and we'll go ahead and get into that as well if you're more interested in this. So this is also what I keep on hand right here. The rinse cups, as I was mentioning, this is very straightforward. As you can see, everything again is in plastic. I've wiped everything down here with wipes and just kind of wiped everything down with the Super Sandy cloths, just trying to keep everything clean. I'll do that from time to time, and then I'll go back and kind of just hit everything with some alcohol wipes. It does take about 10 to 20 minutes. However, I truly feel that it's worthwhile, and I truly feel that it's a better way to go, just to keep my environment and everything wrapped nice and clean. But that's what this is. These are my rinse cups. I'll use one of these to drop the needle in there. I'll have another cup to kind of rinse if I'm going to be using multiple like shading liquids. So I'll use one or two. It just depends on the type of tattoo and what I need to accomplish. So that would determine how many I use, but that's what I pretty much use them for, to keep my needles nice and moist and to keep the ink from clogging the tips in between. So I'll just drop a little bit of liquid at the bottom of it just to fill the top of the needle tube, and just drop the needle tube and let that sit in there upon my sessions, and I'll go ahead and switch them out and do that to all the needles. Or I'll use it to, if I'm shading in between, I'll use it to kind of take out some excess ink that I didn't need, especially if I needed to go to a lighter ink. That's what these are for. Now right here, these are finger caps right here. At the beginning of my tattoo journey, I was scared of kind of like picking myself. With experience, that fear kind of goes away. But that's what these are for right here. These are finger caps that you can literally put over your finger and then put your glove over. I found that it was super easy to put the finger caps on and then spray your hand with like alcohol or water and then put the glove on as it slides on easily. But that's what these are for. It gives you a layer of protection against your hand here, as you can see. So it's a thick silicone, and it'll be around your finger like so. So if you were that looks funny, if you were tattooing and you accidentally were to, let's say if I was going to be doing a really fine dense tattoo, you can go ahead and put 3 on in this area, the areas where the needle is going to be exposed to your fingers, and it just gives you an extra barrier of protection here. Me, I've used these a couple in practice. I never really had too much interference with like my performance or anything, as I really don't use my left hand. So these are also good to keep in mind. If you're interested in something like this, I highly recommend to pick them up. I would cover pretty much my 3 main fingers that are going to be in the tattoo site. But as you can see, that's what I use those for. But honestly, I've never used these on a human tattoo, on human skin. This is just something that I picked up at the beginning of my journey that I felt would be better to have and not need it than to need it and not have it type of situation. So that's why I got these. It's just an extra layer, again, of protection for me personally. That's what those are for right there. Again, I never really had to use them. I probably should use them in practice just to kind of get used to them, just to kind of get used to working with them. But nonetheless, yeah, I've never really used them. I will get to the gloves right now here shortly. I do use a very thick glove as well, which is probably why I've never used them. And when I'm tattooing, I'm always moving at a very comfortable pace, so I feel very comfortable when I tattoo. Me personally, I felt like I was gonna go into tattooing people with a nervous type of energy. It didn't work out like that. I ended up being kind of natural at it, so everything went smoother than I anticipated. However, they're still there. Like I said, better to have them and not need them than to need them and not have them. You you get my drift. Right here, I like to keep Q-tips on deck as well, with a little bit of Vaseline to kind of like moisten my machines in between. I am going to find a better lubricant, so if you have a better lubricant in mind that I can use for my tattoo machines that you think would fit better over Vaseline, drop it in the comments below. Help guide me in a better direction in terms of that. But that's what I use. I mean, it works out well right now. It's not hard to clean up, it's not hard to take out. It works well for me right now, which is why I guess I kind of stick with it. I apply it with clean cotton Q-tips right here. That's what these are right here, so that's what I use those for. And also in a bag right here under that, I have a whole bunch of different size ink caps. I have small and I have some large ones right here. This is pretty much all I need. I use these small ink caps right here for my micro tattoos, and I use these for like my larger pieces and when I need to shade and stuff like that. So that's what these ink caps are for, and I'll keep a lot on me as well, as you can see. So we have some small ones and some, you know, decent sized large ones right here. Overall though, I love having multiple size ink caps, because I would hate to have a mini tattoo and then use a whole large cup of ink. That just doesn't make sense. When I can use one of these large cups of ink to probably fill like 2 or 3 of these little ones up, something like that. Over here in this bag right here, this is a bag, one bag, and it has a whole bunch of different things in there. So as you can see at the bottom, we have our adhesive wraps, which is what I wrap around the barrier of the tattoo machine. Right here we have dip cups. These are what I use, and I made reviews on pretty much all of this individually as well. And I also have these dip foam cups that I use to clean my needles. So if I'm going to be doing shading, I'll go ahead, or if I feel like it's clogged, I can go ahead, and someone recommended hitting this with witch hazel, which is a great idea. So I'll go ahead and put witch hazel in this over alcohol, and then I'll go ahead and clean my needles in between. If I need to take out, or I feel like it's clogged again, I'll go ahead and use this to, you know, unclog my needles, just to keep my needles maintained throughout the tattoo session. That's what these are for, because that's super important as well. I've ran into issues where I personally clogged my needles, had to use a new one and stuff like that. And up here we have needles. Needles are super important as well. As you can see, I have a variety. These are my personal favorites right here. We have some So Long needles, we have some CNC Police needles, we have some Cool needles, and we have some Stigmas in here as well, some Stickman Needles. These are some of my personal favorites that I use right here. And these are pretty much all round liners right here, and they're all pretty much in the size of 00. So that's what this is: needles, dip foam cups, adhesive wraps. I also keep that within my setup. Right here, I like to have a personal little fan as well. I use this, and this is cool because you can kind of unscrew these 2 screws and then take this off right here and clean the fan thoroughly. You can wipe it down with Opticide and clean the rim right here as well. Just really clean everything. And I use this to speed dry my stencils on human skin. So once I set the stencil on human skin, I'll go ahead and ask the client to kind of just leave this in front of the fan, and it has 3 different settings. And then we'll go ahead and kind of just have it on there to blow dry these stencils. So that way, instead of waiting 30 minutes, 40 minutes, we go ahead and cut that down to 20, you know, something like that, a much shorter time frame. And again, you can wipe it down to keep it completely sterile. You probably don't even need to have this front part on. The only reason why I keep it on is because it has this 2 feet down here that you can set up. And then you can, not on yourself, but you can, like, I'm just using this as like a barrier or a surface. You can set it up on a surface and point it to the tattoo should you need to do so, which is also really cool. That's the only reason why I leave that front on. I am very thorough. I do clean this often as well. So that's what I use this for right here. I also keep Bactine on hand. These are for like my own personal tattoos. Like when I do my own, I've tattooed myself many times, and when I do that, that's what I had this for. This is just to cleanse and keep a tattoo from infection. It's to minimize a risk of infection right here. It's pretty much what I use Bactine for. Over here we have a little bit of tape. I used to use tape to tape the napkin around my machine. Now I just use the adhesive wrap. I'll put a napkin there and I'll get the adhesive wrap, wrap it once, and then start pulling it. I don't use this anymore, but I used to keep this a lot in my arsenal. Now I have this last row. I don't think I'll be getting more of medical tape, but I still think it's good to have. Again, it's one of those situations where you invest like $2 or $3. Better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. I have little super stretch rubber bands. I use these to cover, you know, and keep the plastics over my gear here. And that is pretty much it. Over here, my machines as well. As you can see, this is like the heartbeat of my setup, and I wanted to save these for last. Let me go ahead and open it this way. So as you see, we have my power supplies, and this is what my setup looks like. This is my dominant setup. These are my CNC Q2 machines, and then these are the WX2 wireless power supplies, and then these are the Ink Claw C-Charge power supplies as well. This is one of the old one, and then there's an updated one in there. I will also bring a review on the Ink Claw updated supply there, wireless power supply soon, but bear with me as we get that done. That's what this is right here. Just to reiterate, the WX2 power supplies, the Ink Claw C-Charge power supplies, and the CNC Q2 as well. That's all in here, and as you can see, I have 2 USB cords to go ahead and charge the wireless power supplies. This is my dominant setup that I use. This box, I got it at Target, I think, maybe for like $8, $9, something like that. And it's a hard shell case. That's what I keep this setup in, and everything is nice and neat. There's no like moving around or anything in there. Also, I'm gonna get to the gloves as well. I also want to show you how I keep my setup for my CNC WE. Now for my CNC WE, and these are the machines that I put in cases, are the machines that I use in my actual sessions right here. And my WE setup is very straightforward. I believe I got this bag at Walmart or Target, one of those. And as you can see, we have the accessories here, like the tools to fix the machine. We have the user manual, a little needle there just to, I guess, demonstrate the machine, and I never really use that needle. And we have the machine itself with the 2 power cells right here, and that's how I keep my WE. Very simple, nice pouch. Never had any issues. I love this little setup for my WE. And for the gloves, we can go ahead and get into them. For these right here, I put them in a bag. So like, let's say if I'm going to tattoo at a tattoo shop, then I'll go ahead and put them in a bag just to kind of minimize space in my setup in my bag there, so I don't have to take a entire box like this right here in my bag. Although, I mean, it's just a lot easier to put them in here as opposed to putting them into, or putting this box in my setup, because this box will take up more space than holding them in a bag. That's why they're in a bag there though. As you can see, these are the gloves that I like to use, Critical Response Medline gloves. I love using these for my tattoos. They are a thicker type of glove here, and I've also gone over these in a video as well. I personally love using these gloves for my tattooing. I feel confident using these. They fit nice. I mean, to each their own. This is what I use. All this is what I keep on hand. So that's what I use for my gloves here. Also, here's another very important thing that I keep on hand, is a sharps container right here. As you can see, I have that in a bag. This is where every needle would go after a tattoo is done. But as you can see though, this is what I use though. I have one of these on hand as well to put the needles into. And I also have a light that I'm gonna go ahead and show you all as well. I may do that in another video, but the light that's basically sourcing the light for this video right here is a light that I use for my setup. I will leave links in the description below so you can check them out. Here's a little headlamp that I've never used I've never actually put this on my head and use it in a tattoo. Maybe once or twice I have when I first started, but I use an LED lamp if I'm correct. Okay, now so for the lighting, I use this right here. This is what the lamp looks like up close, and it is a dimmable light, so it does come with a full operating light switch, a little box that you plug it into, and then the power supply or the power would go plugged in right there. And I do have this right here going into a stand, a music stand, so you can go to like the Guitar Center or something and get a microphone stand of some sort, one that you can actually move around and kind of bend to where, you know, you can place it better. I can actually put a picture right here of a stand that I'm talking about, and I can actually leave you links in the description below so you can go ahead and check that out on your end as well. But I will put a guitar stand right here into this little hole right here, and I will also just tighten it all the way, and it works wonders. So I'll go ahead and put the power source in, and then if I need to adjust my lamp, I'll just turn this and, you know, adjust it like so. So these are a powerful little lights. I've never had any issues with these, and these are great. They do come in a pair, so I found that was also great, because I found that after long sessions my eyes kind of get adjusted to the new lighting, so sometimes you need just a little bit more light, and that's where the second one would come in hand. And they also look really, really nice. So these are the lights that I use. These are the lamps. I can make a full in-depth review if you're interested in learning more about these right here, but for now, again, I'm just showing you all what I use within the setup. I also keep colors on deck right here. As you can see, I have a Shure bag right here from my SM57 mic, and in here we have a whole bunch of different colors from Radiant Ink. I love to keep these on hand. Me personally, originally I thought that I was going to be into color, but I kind of fell more in love with the black work, you know, and now I'm using silvers, titaniums, and whites. I kind of fell more in love with that side than color. However, that may change. I'm going to be working more with color, so be sure to hit the subscribe button and ring that bell so you can go ahead and check out more videos of me working with these colors right here. But I also keep these on hand as well. But overall, that's everything. I mean, this is straightforward. We use these for color tattoos, obviously. So other than that though, this is everything that I use for my setup. This is what it consists of. Furniture is a bit different. I can't actually carry the chairs and show you the furniture, but it's just really simple stuff. I have a plastic table. I'll have either or a metallic table, like a kind of like a toolbox type of thing that you see in traditional tattoo shops, something to that extent. You can even use these right here, a stainless steel tray as well. You can use these, cover them with Saran Wrap, and then put this onto a table that's has a barrier as well. These are cool as well. These are great to use, stainless steel, so you can go ahead and reuse them, clean them up as you need to do so. But that's pretty much everything. And then that is also very straightforward. You're going to go ahead and use that to hold your gear, your equipment. Also, I do keep Intense Super Black on hand. I'm not sure if I mentioned that. I love using this if I'm going to do like a bigger piece and it's going to have like areas of like, you know, black that I need to really pack in there and I want to get it nice, smooth, dark, and dense. I'm going to go to this if I'm going to do like a fine line detail tattoo, even like a tattoo with like bolder lines. I'm going to go ahead and go with the Formula 23 ink. But I also keep some Intense Super Black on hand. I tend to lean more towards now the Formula 23, but that's also what I have on hand as well. This is what I use to create my setup. I do also use a massage table, in which I'll show you a picture here, and I can actually show you another picture of me using that massage table right here as well. So I use that right there for the tattoos, because I like to have a massage table over an armrest, even for the smallest tattoos, because I get to put my elbows and plant them down, and it just provides me with that much more stability, giving my client that much more of a quality tattoo over having to float my arms off of the armrest. I'm not comfortable with having to float my arms like that, so that's that. However, I do have an armrest, a barbell armrest, if I'm correct, that's what it's called, that I can go ahead and go over with you all. Other than that though, yet again, this is what my setup consists of. This is what I use and why. If you have any questions at all, or if I didn't like touch base on something specific that you may have wanted to know, anything like that, please feel free to drop it in the comments below. By all means, I'm going to do my best to assist you in the best possible direction. If you're not, be sure to go ahead and give me a follow on social medias. I do have social medias all under the same name, at Daniel Yuck. That's going to be DANIELYUCK. I would genuinely appreciate the support. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring that bell for me, as I will be bringing more videos like this and all different types of videos as well. Thank you for tuning in yet again. You have a great day.